Okay, do we have any children here tonight? Come on up because I have this little worksheet for you. Okay, fine. I kind of carry the book Gospels with me. I was going to tell the kids about, if you look at the face of this book of Gospels, there are 4 symbols of the 4 evangelists, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. I don't know if you can name which is which on there, but I was going to explain that to the kids tonight. So kind of interesting about that. Oh, yeah. So Connie says, what are you doing this weekend? So I told her, I could take some mass. She said, well, first of all, I want you to know that we have a wedding at St. Agnes. Oh, okay. What time is that? 2 o'clock Saturday afternoon. Okay, who's that? McCabe, Alex McCabe. I don't know how many of you know the McCabe family. I got to know them because I was pastor there about 35 years ago. Got to know a lot of the McCabes. So I said, okay. She says, well, rehearsal is tonight, Friday. And so I said, okay. So I said, okay, now when you go to Mass, now I want you to know we have the reverse collection. Okay, then we have a dinner downstairs after Mass. Okay, then we have the party outside. Can you keep track of all that? And they said, no. But I am. I'm trying to keep track of all that. Really a wonderful time. You know, we sometimes wonder about all the things that happen in our life and how sometimes we're kind of under a lot of pressure. And I sometimes thought about that as yesterday went along and last night and then this afternoon too. But pressure's kind of equal. Can you imagine what that young couple must have thought about when they got the word, Father Rausch, who's prepared them, he's sick. He won't be here. What's going through their mind? Are we going to get married or not? We got all this stuff planned. Then they're told, well, Father Knipper will have the wedding, okay? So I've driven between St. Agnes, Plymouth Rock, and here, and St. Agnes, Plymouth Rock, and Decorah, how many times in the 4 years that I was living up there? I know how long it takes to get from there to there. So I thought I'll leave here about 1:15, wedding's at 2, take my time, listen to the ball game, of course. And Cyhawks, by the way, if you didn't know, they were playing today. And so I get a phone call. Father, where are you? Now, typically, I was wondering if the bride would ever get nervous about this whole thing. Typically, brides get more nervous, kind of, anticipation. This was the groom calling me, saying, Father, where are you? The groom got all nervous and everything else. Said, I can see the church. I'll be there. Don't worry. When they left the church this afternoon, they left. He had a wife and she had a husband. They didn't have that before. So it was a marriage. We got them, huh? We got them. So they got each other. So we think about the pressures that are put upon us, and I think the pressures that we heard in tonight's gospel is really pressure. They were supposed to correct our brother or sister when they're doing something wrong. Now, brother and sister, that's, people around us. Have you ever tried to do that with someone? That's a tough thing to do because, they may not like what you have to say. I was at a workshop the other day, and they said, when people come to you for counseling, make sure they know this. It's going to take more than one session. Make it very clear to them it's going to be more than one session because this is serious, deep stuff. And the second thing is that agree upon the fact that I'm going to say some things that are going to hurt you. And you're going to say some things that hurt me. But agree that that's okay. That's the only way we can make progress. If we really tell what we think and how we feel. So that's kind of what's happening in the gospel today, isn't it? Jesus is saying, you got to go to your brother and sister and tell them they're doing something wrong. How do you do that? How do you get them to understand that it's okay to be corrected? And for me to accept that they correct me and say, well, yeah, let me tell you something about you. You tell me this about me, I'm going to tell you something about you that I'd like to see corrected. So there are two-way streets here, and we have to be willing to operate and recognize that two-way street. So that's one little operative I like to give to you. Secondly, it's kind of a neat thing that happens in the gospel tonight. As we look at that, it says, Jesus said to his disciples, if your brother sins against you, go and tell him his fault between you and him alone. That's another nice thing. Don't go out in the public and talk about it all in the public before, but go to him alone and leave it at that. He'll accept the correction. Great. If he doesn't, then go collect some other people and go with and try to correct him. But if you look at the ancient manuscripts of the Gospels, some of them have exactly what it says here. If your brother sins against you. Other manuscripts say, if your brother sins, go and tell him his fault. It doesn't say against me. So what does it do? It takes from the individual and says the community, you and the community should also correct him. Be aware it's just not me, but anyone who recognizes the sin, that we should go and correct him. So either one, it's really important. First of all, that I recognize if I see something going wrong with someone, I should correct them, but also you as individuals should correct them too. That'd be the second understanding of this passage. This past week, I was observing 4 men playing cards. Now, usually when I play cards, I play euchre. Right? There are 4 of us that could together play, but this was a different group of 4. I don't know what the game was called because it seems like they would bid 2, 3, 4, 5s, and then they'd throw the cards in. Next hand. 2, 3, 4, whatever it was, they throw the cards in because they could already figure out, are you going to make it or not? Now, one time, though, the guy bid 5, and they said, let's play this hand out. Huh? Yeah, they did. He got set. Now, the 4 guys sitting around, when he got set, he used God's name the way it should not be used. The 3 other guys are sitting there, they look at me and say, did you hear him, Father? They said, Father, you correct him. I thought, why do you guys correct him, huh? So I said, yeah, I heard that. I guess that he was saying a prayer. Uh-huh. So he said, what did I say? Notice, he said, what did I say? He didn't even know what he said. How often does that happen? This is real life, isn't it? Sure. We fall into bad habits. So, deal the cards, pass one, go around. He got set again. And he said a different word for God's name. And this time, all 3 of the guys jumped on him. Now we got the 2 or 3 in the gospel. Now, first one is me. Now the 2 or 3 got him. He said, I said that again? I can't believe it. I thought to myself, isn't that great? He recognized these guys, we kind of all ganged up on him in a way. But I'm sure that the next time that he plays cards, at least when we're around, he'll probably be very, very careful about what he has to say. So it works. We're still all friends. He'll come play cards again and everything else, have a good time. But notice that we need to correct people, don't we? I don't know if we need to use words. I can remember my coming home one time when I was in high school. We had an old boxcar where we did the grinding. At that time, all the farmers had machines, we call it grinders. Some had rollers, some whatever. Throughout their grinding, and we had a shovel. Well, some of you guys are as old as I am. You remember that? You shoveled the corn into a sheller, took the corn, then you shoveled it into the bin, then you shoveled it there in the grinder, then you shoveled it back out to the cows. And we knew a lot about shoveling. So I'm shoveling, okay? And I don't know what happened. Something happened. And I used a word that some of my classmates used in high school that I didn't know what the word meant at all. And all my dad does is look at me. There's silence. Because Dad never used words like that. He just looked at me. I said, I don't think I'll use that word again. Notice how we can approach correcting people as well. So I ask that you as adults, but also you kids in school. Gosh, I can see that many times. Where you see your schoolmates doing something wrong. It might be cheating. It might be talking about somebody, defaming them, hurting their character. It might be hitting or pushing or something like that. What can you do to correct your brother or sister? What can you do as a group of people? Silence when that happens? Pretty powerful. Maybe you can say something in a nice way. Let's think about that as we continue to live our life, as we go forward here, within this community, within your homes, with your brother and your sister, everyone baptized, brothers and sisters, children of God.